Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. So for those of us who are into makeup, we all know about the power of makeup. We know that you can use makeup to create flawless looking skin. You can use it to give the illusion of having like a slimmer face. You can use eyeshadow to create like artistic looks on your eyes. But today we're going to talk about the other end of the spectrum. So we're going to be talking about the power of being comfortable in your own skin, the power of knowing that you don't need to wear makeup to feel pretty, and just the power of knowing that you're beautiful with or without makeup. So what I'm going to do today is I already have on a full face of makeup. This is what I've been wearing all day. And in this video, I'm going to be getting unready. So I'm going to be taking my makeup off, doing my nighttime routine. And as I go through that, I'm going to share with you guys my makeup story. So I'm going to be talking about how I got into makeup, how I grew to have a love for makeup, how I ended up having what I would consider like an unhealthy relationship with makeup, and how I feel like I overcame that. So I'm just going to share my story with y'all today. So if you're interested, please keep on watching. But before we get into that, for those of you who are on my channel for the first time, my name is Sonia. I go by Cetaphil here on YouTube. I really hope that you'll consider subscribing today before you leave. It would really help me out and I would really appreciate it. And as always, for those of you who are already supporting my channel and you're already subscribed, thank you so much for your continued support. Thank you for coming back today. So let's get started with my story. Okay, so when I was a preteen, I was about maybe 11, 12 years old, something like that. My skin started to break out. I started out with breakouts on my chin and then, just random breakouts all over my face. And since then, I've had acne-prone skin. So my mother used to take me to the dermatologist, and I remember I was put on different medications here and there. Some things worked better than others. I do remember that I was on Accutane for a little bit, and I don't remember exactly why I had to come off of Accutane. I do know now that Accutane is reserved more for like severe or cystic acne. And that's not what I had. So I'm thinking maybe I wasn't on Accutane for very long because it was considered like a strong medication. But I don't remember exactly why I stopped taking Accutane. But I do remember when I was on it, that was the only thing that like really made a difference in my skin. Like that stuff had my skin looking like super, super clear. But, all of the other medications that I tried, some of them worked, some of them didn't. And I kept getting put on other medications, and nothing besides the Accutane like really stuck. So, all growing up, I just dealt with my skin breaking out. And I was always self-conscious about it, but I just always kind of like just figured, this is the hand that I was dealt. Like, this is just what it is. So my mother started letting me wear makeup when I was about 16. And I remember, like even before that time, I recall seeing commercials on TV, like makeup commercials. And I guess I kind of always thought that the models in those commercials, they look nice in their makeup, but, they're putting makeup on like on top of already flawless skin. So I just kind of always thought that wasn't going to work for me because, I have like raised bumps or like acne scars, and I just figured like wearing things like foundation, they would just like accentuate all of that stuff that was going on my skin. So when I was allowed to start wearing makeup, the only makeup that I wore was mascara and eyeliner. I used to love like trying out different eyeliners. I think I probably have tried like every drugstore eyeliner that was out, back then. Like every time a new one came out, I wanted to try it. But that was the only makeup that I wore. I played around with lipstick here and there, but I felt like I could never really find like a good lipstick color for me. So this is just a cleansing balm that I'm using to like really get rid of my makeup. I'll leave all of the stuff that I'm using on my skin. I'll leave it in the description bar just in case you guys are interested. So yeah, I tried out different lipsticks here and there. Never really found anything that I really liked. So I would normally just wear like something like a tinted lip balm or something like that. And then other than that, I would just wear mascara and eyeliner. So I'm going to go and wash this off of my face and I'll be right back. Alright, so I just washed off my cleansing balm. Now I'm just patting my face dry. So from the time that I was 16, like all I was wearing was mascara, eyeliner, lip gloss sometimes. So fast forward all the way to, this would have been the spring of 2012, so I would have been 31 years old. And you know, all this time I've been dealing with acne prone skin, having breakouts here and there. When I was 31, I don't know what happened, I don't know where this came from, but on both of my cheeks I just broke out like crazy. So a lot of the like the hyperpigmentation that you see on my cheeks, some of this is like newer from, you know, now I'm more into, I have like a much better skincare regimen. So a lot of times my skin will purge, but a lot of this that you're seeing is from when my skin broke out in 2012. And it was just like the breakouts just would not stop. It was breakout after breakout after breakout. And it was like, I didn't have too much of a skincare routine back then. All I did was twice a day, I washed my face and put moisturizer on, and that was it. But I was like experimenting with different moisturizers, different facial cleansers, and it was like no matter what I tried, nothing was stopping the breakouts from happening. So after maybe like 2 months or so of going through that, the breakouts did calm down, but then I was left behind with the scarring, and the scarring just got to be just as much as the breakouts. So like, even though all growing up, I was a little self-conscious about my skin, when my skin like really broke out in 2012, that was the first time that I really felt like I felt ugly. That's the best word that I can think of to describe it. Like, I didn't want to be seen. I didn't want to go anywhere. I didn't want my picture taken. Like, I just felt like I did not look pretty. That's how I felt. And like I said, even when the breakout stopped and the scarring stayed behind, that's still like how I felt. So somewhere around that time, my sister got the chicken pox. And the chicken pox, they came and went like they normally do, but she had scarring left behind from the chicken pox, and she has really pretty clear skin, so she wasn't used to like dealing with scars or anything on her face. And I remember maybe like a good like 3 weeks or so like after she had the chicken pox, she was dealing with like trying to heal her skin, and maybe it was like a good 3 weeks after she had the chicken pox. I saw her one day and her face just looked absolutely flawless, like beat to the gods, flawless. And I said, wow, your skin like really looks pretty, like you can't even tell that you just had the chicken pox. And she said, I have on MAC concealer on my face. And prior to that, like I said, I saw people, you know, I saw makeup commercials. I saw people wearing foundation and stuff. But, you know, this was my first time ever seeing, like, in real life, that you could actually put makeup on scars or blemishes or something, and the makeup doesn't accentuate it, it makes it look better. Like, I was just dumbfounded because I'd never seen that before. So I said, okay, well, maybe I should go to the MAC counter and see if they could do something about my skin. So we went to MAC. My sister went with me, And I told the associate, I said, I have no idea. I don't know anything about makeup, but I want to see if I can get something to help me cover up all of the scars that I have on my face. So he set me down in front of a mirror, and all he did was he put some foundation on my cheeks, topped with some concealer, and he didn't touch my forehead because I don't ever deal with like scarring on my forehead. Sometimes I'll deal with texture. Like right now I do have a little bit of texture on my forehead, but never really dealt with like any type of hyperpigmentation or anything up there. It was really just like my cheeks on down. So he put the foundation and the concealer on my face, and I also said to him, I said, I want to start wearing lipstick. Can you recommend a lipstick? And I remember him saying, well, nudes are in right now. So he gave me, I call it the infamous MAC lip liner, the chestnut liner. He put that on, and it was some nude lipstick. It was like a champagne-y colored lipstick, but I can't really remember what it's called. And one of like the cream sheen glosses or something that he put on me. And I looked in the mirror, and like, not to brag when I say this, but I just thought I looked so pretty. Like, I could not believe how this makeup like just transformed my face. Like, I thought that I looked acceptable. That's how I felt. So I just bought up everything that he put on my face because I was just so floored by how it made me look. And that was like my first taste of like wearing makeup. So I'm actually going to be done my skincare routine. In my mind, I thought it was going to take me a lot longer to do my routine. But so from that point on, like, that's how I started wearing makeup. And I remember maybe like a couple months or so after I started wearing MAC, I would notice that like I would put the makeup on my face in the morning, let's say 6, 7 o'clock, and then by like lunchtime, to me, the makeup was fading off of my face. So I went to Google, and I don't remember exactly what I searched for, but it would have been something like, you know, how to make your makeup last longer or something like that. And that's how I learned about primer. And I started using MAC primer too, which my mom was already using that. So I remember first couple of times I used it, I used some of hers, and then I bought my own. And I remember being so like excited when I learned about primer, because I was like, oh, I learned something about makeup. Like, I didn't know what a primer was, how you used it, all of that stuff. So now my regular makeup routine is primer, foundation, concealer, and lipstick. I wasn't into like, you know, highlighting, contouring, blush, and all of that yet. I was just wearing like the base products. So fast forward like another year or so. And at this point, like every single day, I was wearing my MAC makeup. And I remember one day I bought some foundation. And you know how normally you'll go restock on a product when you know that you're going to be running out soon. So I probably had like maybe a week or so worth of foundation left. And I went and bought some more foundation, and the day that I bought it, the bottle fell and broke. It was I think it was called the MAC Studio Fix something. The one that comes in a glass bottle. It fell and it broke. And I believe that foundation costs $29, and I just did not have another $29 to go and buy more foundation at the time. So I said, okay, when I run out of whatever I have left, I'm just going to have to I'm going to have to try some drugstore makeup until I can go buy some more MAC. Now, at the time, the only makeup I knew was MAC. So I thought that drugstore makeup was cheap in price because it was cheap in quality. But I said, you know, this is all I can afford right now. I'll just wear this for a few weeks or whatever, and then I'll go back to my MAC. So I didn't know like where to start because there was so many options in the drugstore. So I went back to Google and did some searching. And that's how I ended up on YouTube. When I say on YouTube, that's how I ended up watching YouTube videos about makeup. Somehow my search sent me to YouTube. And prior to that, I was already watching a whole bunch of natural hair videos on YouTube. I never even saw a makeup video on YouTube. Like, I didn't even know that that was a thing. And I quickly learned that, you know, some people are going to love a product, other people are going to hate the very same product, so you just have to try it for yourself and see how you like it. So I tried the first drugstore foundation that I tried. I'm actually done my nighttime routine, so I'm just going to finish talking to y'all. The first drugstore foundation that I ever tried was Maybelline Dream Matte Mousse. And I remember trying that because when I was looking for a foundation to try, that's how I learned about the difference between like matte finishes and like a dewy finish or natural finish. I didn't know that was a thing. I just thought that foundation was foundation. And I remember learning that matte foundations are good for people with oily skin. So I said, okay, let me try Maybelline Dream Matte Mousse. Well, that foundation dried my skin out in some areas. And even though it didn't work for me, I was just so like excited that I learned something. Like, I said to myself, okay, this probably didn't work. You know, maybe it dried my skin out because that's not a water-based foundation. Maybe I need to stick with like the liquid stuff. So I remember I also tried Revlon Color Stay foundation. When they say Color Stay, they are not playing. Like, that foundation was so hard to wash off of my face. I used to like Revlon Color Stay. I don't remember what shades I was using, but I remember I mixed 2 shades together and I used that foundation for maybe like a couple weeks or so. And I remember thinking that it lasted longer on my face than my MAC foundation. So even though I was still using that matte primer, I was using the matte primer with the Revlon foundation, but the foundation was lasting longer, you know, throughout the day. The problem was I felt like I had to wash my face like 3 times to like thoroughly get it off. So I started again like searching for another foundation. I don't remember every one that I tried, but I do recall I tried L'Oreal True Match foundation. And that one I almost gave up on too because it took me a couple of tries to find my correct shade. And I remember one of them that I tried, it was like too dark. But one of them that like sticks out in my mind is W7. I don't remember the name of the shade, but the like the code, I guess you can call it, is W7. I remember that one gave me like a yellow cast on my face, and I had never seen that happen before. So again, I went back to the internet and I must have searched for something like, you know, foundation looks yellow or something like that. That's how I learned about undertones. And again, I had no idea what an undertone was. Like, I didn't know any of this stuff. And I went to I guess I went to MAC's website and I looked up the shade, the foundation shade that I was wearing, and it said something like rosy undertone. I haven't worn MAC in a long time. I don't remember what my MAC shade is, but I want to say I'm like an NW43 maybe. So if you're watching this and you're about my skin tone, or if you can just tell just by looking at me, let me know if you think that I might have been like an NW43, because I can't remember what my shade was, but I do know whatever it was, when I looked it up on the website, it said that I had a rosy undertone. And I said, okay, the yellow one, the L'Oreal foundation was giving me a yellow cast because it had a warm undertone. So that's when I went back and tried something that had a cool undertone. And I tried C6, which is soft sable, in that foundation. And I was just blown away. Like, the color of it matched me perfectly. The way that it wore, to me, it was the exact same thing as MAC. But remember, like, back then, all I knew was MAC. So, like, now, I wouldn't consider that L'Oreal foundation to be a dupe for MAC. But back then, that was all I knew. So, to me, they were, like, the exact same thing. So, I said, well, why am I going to spend all of this money on MAC when L'Oreal is doing the same thing? So at that point, I pretty much like stuck with L'Oreal, and that was the foundation that I was using. However, now that I had gotten into watching YouTube videos, I started learning about like different products and how people felt about them and how you use different products. And over the years, I was just getting like more and more into makeup, trying different things. And before you knew it, I feel like I had, the typical, I don't want to use the word addiction, but I grew like a really strong love for makeup. Let's put it like that. Okay, so now we're going to fast forward to, so all of that happened like around between like, let's say 2012, 2013, something like that. So now let's fast forward to December of 2016. And this happened like, it was right when I moved into my new place where I'm at now. And it was a Saturday morning. I believe this was the weekend after I had moved into my place. It was a Saturday morning, and I had planned on staying in the house all day. And I didn't have any plans or anything, but I really wanted some coffee. So I live within walking distance from a Wawa. And if you're not familiar with Wawa, if you have like Sheets where you live or Royal Farms, I don't know what people have like out in the West Coast, but over here we have either Wawa, Royal Farms, or Sheets. So Wawa is basically like a convenience store / gas station, and I love their coffee. So I wanted some coffee, so got up, got dressed, put some makeup on. At this point, I was pretty good at doing like a full face of makeup. I wasn't the best with my eyebrows, but I knew how to do like, highlight and contour my face and blush and highlighter, all that stuff. So I put some makeup on and I was looking in the mirror. I really can't explain to you like where this feeling came from or what brought it on. But something just kind of like hit me like a ton of bricks. I'm looking in the mirror and I said to myself, like, Sonia, you just put on a full deep face of makeup just to go get a cup of coffee and then come right back home. And that was like pretty eye-opening for me. And when that happened, I kind of felt like silly, a little stupid. I just felt like, why did I do that? And then like the more and more I pondered on it, I realized that I don't even know how long it's been since I left my house without makeup. I don't care where I'm going, if it's work, if I'm going to church, if I'm going to my parents' house, if I'm just running to the store, wherever I'm going, I always have on a full face of makeup. So I felt like I was doing that because I didn't feel comfortable in my own skin. Now, granted, prior to me wearing makeup, I always went out the house without makeup on because I had never tried it before. But it was like, once I started wearing makeup, that's what I was using to feel comfortable about myself. So I did still go and get my coffee that day, but like for the rest of the day, I was just like not in the best mood. And the following day, I said to myself, I'm going to go out without any makeup on. This was a Sunday. And I didn't leave my house. It was pretty late because I kept saying, I'm going to go out without makeup on. But you know how a lot of times things are just like way easier said than done. So I remember it was getting dark outside when I had finally left the house. And I pretty much was like putting it off all day. And finally I said, okay, I'm just going to go to Target or whatever. So for people who like, if you're watching this and you haven't gone through this or you just can't get what I'm saying, in my mind, I feel like it sounds a little silly, but this is just what I went through. So I'm just putting it out there. When I tell you that I had to like force myself to go out my front door, like into the world without makeup on, it was really, really hard for me to do that. Like it took me quite a long time to take that step. I did it, but it was hard. When I was walking to my car, all I kept thinking about was, are people looking at me? Do they notice my skin? Do they notice this pimple, this blemish, this, that, and the third? When I got into my car, I felt a little bit better because I'm like, in my car. When I get to Target, it took me a while to get out of the car. I went into the store and I was walking around and I was so nervous. I was so nervous. And I'm walking around, no makeup on. And I kept thinking, like, does this person notice XYZ on my face? Is this person looking at me? Like, I was looking at everybody else to see if they were looking at me. Now, I will say, though, the more and more I walked around in the store, the more I realized that nobody was paying attention to me. Like, nobody cares about, they're just minding their own business. Like, they don't care that I have stuff on my skin or whatever. Like, they're just minding their own business. And when I realized that, it did make it a little easier to walk around, but I still caught myself like every few seconds wondering like who's looking at me. So I wasn't in the store for very long, but after that day, I said to myself, like, I really need to like start pushing myself to like not wear makeup as much. So again, that's one of those things that was like easier said than done. So I did still wear makeup a lot when I went out, but then, here and there I would say, okay, today I'm not going to wear makeup. Today I'm not going to wear makeup. After doing that sporadically for maybe a couple months or so, I remember it was like a pretty long stretch of time. I decided one day, okay, I'm not going to wear makeup to work. That was another thing that was like a big step for me. And when I finally did it, the same thing happened that happened in Target. I noticed that nobody cared. If they did, they didn't say anything. It was just like a regular normal day at work. So then, like every day I would go to work without makeup on. And I would say, from the time I realized that I was like using makeup as a crutch or being too like dependent on makeup, using it to make myself feel pretty, from that time it really did take me like a long stretch of time to get to the point to where I am now, which is like I feel super comfortable in my own skin, but it was like a long time coming, Present day, most days I do wear makeup to work. I'll put on like some concealer under my eye, a little bit of concealer like on my cheeks, and I'll do my brows and put on mascara. I also put on blush and highlighter every day, but I don't do like a full beat face every day. If I feel like I'm gonna film a video when I get home, especially like a tutorial type video, then I won't wear makeup to work, just so that I won't have to come home and wash my makeup off just to put more makeup on and then take it off again. And then again, in my mind, I feel like what I'm about to say sounds a little silly, but in my mind I keep telling myself from time to time, okay, don't wear any makeup today, because it just like helps reiterate to me, how far I've come, I'll say, and it helps to reiterate that I am comfortable just going out without anything on. Now, I will say though, most days when I go out like this, sometimes I will still fill in my brows because I just feel like I don't have any eyebrows, but I do feel like I'm just totally comfortable like this. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like if somebody were to have a problem with me going out looking like this, seeing me like this, I can confidently say I'm to the point where that's a you problem, because I'm fine with the way that I am. I do still really like makeup. Like, I love trying out new products. I love trying to create new looks. If you're familiar with my channel, you know that there's a lot of things in makeup that I'm still trying to learn about. So for instance, eyeshadow, I don't feel like I'm very versed in eyeshadow at all. So, I'm still trying to learn and just progress. But I just love playing around with makeup. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with wearing makeup every day, even if you're the type of person who wants to wear like a full beat face of makeup every single day. I don't think that there's anything wrong with that, but I do think that it is a problem if you're using makeup, if you're wearing it every single day because you feel like you have to, because you feel like you're not good enough without it. So I wanted to share my story. I've been thinking so long about like how to get this story out. I've been wanting to do this video for quite some time, but I just couldn't like figure out like, you know, how I wanted my presentation to be. So I decided to do like the play on the power of makeup. I saw the video from Nikki Tutorials. I think that video is like a couple years old now, but like if you're the type of person who likes to wear Nikki Tutorials type looks every day, because I think she's like the best at doing like full on glam beat faces. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with that as long as you know that it's not necessary. Like you can just, you know, be yourself. Like you have natural beauty. And if you feel like anything that I'm saying is resonating with you, just the fact that you're realizing that is like a really big step. And if it's taking you some time to get past it, don't beat yourself up, but just, you know, continue to work through it. So I hope that you guys enjoyed hearing my story. Thank you so much for listening. And if any of you guys want to chime in the comment section, please feel free. I love it when I get to talk to you guys in the comments. So again, nothing wrong with wearing makeup every single day or some days or never. Just remember that with or without makeup, you are beautiful. There is a lot of power in knowing that you are beautiful. There's a lot of power in knowing that the natural you is enough. So I really hope that y'all enjoyed the video. I'm nervous. I feel like I don't know how to close this out, but I hope that y'all enjoyed the video. If you did, please give me some feedback in the comment section and give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed today's video. Please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so already, and I hope to see y'all back for my next video. Until then, take care. Have a good one, y'all. Bye.